Hello, I'm Rob Grimes, the CEO of the IFBTA, and I'm very pleased today to host our Meet Our Member series with Chris Adams, the Global Head of Food and Beverage Strategy for Oracle, one of our first global industry partners. So, Chris, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
So it's great to talk to you, although given that we normally are not that far away, right now you're in Australia and I'm here in Washington, D.C.
I'm trying to single-handedly prove the global part of my job title. So yes, I'm currently enjoying the very early hours of Sydney. But I think one thing that we've seen with Zoom that really you can do anything from anywhere now.
Well, that's true, and people can even operate restaurants and food and beverage operations from anywhere as well.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, certainly with the technology now, we see a lot of our customers who have found themselves in weird and wonderful locations, and I was on with a customer last week where they were talking about opening up a brand new market around the world, and normally lots of people would fly in from headquarters, and they're literally doing it all over Zoom. So yeah, pretty exciting times we live in.
Well, it is sort of an exciting time. I think that over the last year, there have been a lot of challenges and a lot of things that have happened. And I would also go ahead and characterize it as an exciting time because it created more opportunities. But I'm wondering from your perspective in the strategy side of Oracle, how the tech and roadmap investment priorities may have changed over the last year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a long time ago in March last year when this all became very real very quickly. And so we had a fairly well laid out roadmap that, continued to invest in the food and beverage industry, take the best of Oracle. But we realized really quickly that we needed to pivot it. We were kind of lucky in a sense that we'd invested a lot in building out the Symphony platform so that it could scale. It was running 10,000 coffee shops, running table service, running in 160 countries. And so that gave us the flexibility that as our customers just dealt with the whiplash and had to suddenly turn on curbside, turn on delivery, that the platform was ready. We were lucky enough that we, have a great ecosystem of partners that were able to kind of jump in and turn on online ordering overnight. From a roadmap perspective, though, it really showed us that being just a platform is great, but really the true value is kind of building solutions that go all of the way to the consumer. So
but if we take a look at that for a second, when you talk about people doing things overnight, it's interesting because, you and I have spent time in the industry for quite a while. If we were talking about this a number of years ago, people would be talking about, do I have the connectivity to do this? How can I move my applications? In reality, because of the platforms that Oracle is offering and the integration and things with other pieces, people were actually able to focus on their operations this time around and not their infrastructure.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And certainly it tested the concept of cloud, which, I think sometimes is a little bit of a industry buzzword, but it really put it through its paces where we're seeing, people turning on just new styles of service and literally going from a 100% in dining steak restaurant to suddenly thinking, okay, I'm going to have to do salads of an afternoon. And being able to do that without having to change any infrastructure, change any systems, do any upgrades, really put it through its paces. But we did see those that kind of had already made the transition to cloud being able to kind of make that transition much faster than, frankly, some customers that were still on very old legacy hardware and software.
But if you want to think about it, I actually asked you the question about roadmap, and I also used the word investment. In reality, they already made the investment. So when they were able to implement on the roadmap some things that may have been thought of for the future, or some things they needed right now because of how they needed to operate their operations. But investing, financial investment was really already made, so they were able to build on what they had already invested in.
Yeah, no, that's true, and I think a lot of that investment paid off when staffing levels suddenly dropped. When it just simply wasn't sustainable to have such a size team. And so it's kind of the investments already made were able to offset that as they were able to get more efficient, do things with less people. I think where we saw incremental investment was was more around the customers that had kind of frankly been laggards, and so didn't already have EMV payment capabilities, hadn't really thought about online ordering beyond being present on one of the aggregators. And so almost what we saw is kind of like that investment already made, but an acceleration into that investment as it became very clear that the pandemic was here to stay.
I think acceleration is a word that comes up quite a bit. And actually, I was fortunate enough to be invited to attend the Connect conference online a few weeks ago. And it seemed like there were a lot of different stories from a lot of different companies about acceleration, about how they were taking advantage of things and moving forward. I got some takeaways from it, but I'm sort of curious, were there some surprises or takeaways that you got from it as well as the head of strategy?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just hearing the stories across all sizes of customers. So, obviously, we saw some of our larger customers who were already fairly mature in that digital space, able to weather the storm very well. But hearing from guys like Fire and Vine, who are less than 10 locations, who frankly rolled out digital strategies that were on par with multinational chains.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing to hear just how that pace of acceleration just literally leapfrogged 3 to 5 years. And so it's great to hear from that. It was always, I always love those kind of conferences, Rob, where it's a real opportunity for customers and our partners to showcase what they've done. And I kind of look at some of our partners who maybe came into the pandemic in a startup mode, very small, but seeing them being able to grow and kind of bring value to the customers, and then trying to do all of that at a global scale. It's just really heartening to hear a lot of those stories.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And on behalf of the IFBTA, we hope you've enjoyed our Meet Our Member series with Oracle and with Chris Adams, the Global Head of Food and Beverage Strategy. And we look forward to seeing all of you again soon in person for the next interview. So thank you very much for joining us today.